So, the other night I had the dubious pleasure of watching American Beauty for the first time. So, that is what I'm going to talk to you about today. So, my name is Megan Campbell. This is my personal channel where I run my mouth about movies. If you want to see me run my mouth about alcohol and business, you want to go over to Turquoise Sky Custom Spirits. So, American Beauty, if you haven't seen it, is the story of a family who cannot open their mouth and use their words, and therefore they just get torn apart. It's really gross and creepy. So the dad in it is just a sad, like, nothing brings me joy, everything in my life sucks, look at my wife out there gardening and talking to the neighbor, God, she's so fucking boring, oh, look at my teenage daughter who hates me, and God, she's also, God, I just wish things were like they used to be. And then the wife is like, oh, my husband's so boring and I'm so stressed out and this job sucks and I just can't do anything. And then the daughter's like, boy, my parents suck. I don't know. She's a teenager. She's just a teenager. She's having normal teenage feelings. So if anyone is not the bad guy in this movie, it's the daughter. The daughter is the only person that I'm like, yes, that sucks for you. And I wish this didn't happen to you. So the dad gets like obsessed with his wife's or his daughter's friend. And I thought when I read the thing, I was like, oh, okay, so it's gonna be like some creepy, like low-key, like stalker shit. But it's not, because right from the beginning, they know the friend is like, oh, your dad totally wants to fuck me. And the daughter is like, oh, my dad totally wants to fuck you. This sucks. I wish that weren't the case. And everyone keeps like trying to turn it around on the daughter, like, oh, what, you wish it was you? And it's like, what? No! Like, that's just weird and gross, and I don't know why everybody keeps saying it to her when it's like, no, I just want my dad to pay attention to me. Like, I just want love from my parents, like some sort of weird, sick freak who wants love from their parents. So that was weird, and the whole time, like, I'm pretty, I would describe myself as viscerally against pedophilia, and I would also describe myself as someone who thinks that you're not really that smart until maybe 22, 23, if you're really good. If you really, really buckle down and think about yourself and your feelings at 22, you kind of might start to have an idea of who you are. So I think a lot of people would be like, well, the girl in the video, like this girl, the actress was 19. The person she was playing was 17. So you might be like, well, she's going to be legal in a year. Legal does not mean you have anything together. And especially not when it's this older dude. It was just so gross, and I'm like, no, like, she's not gonna fix your life. You're not gonna feel better. It's not gonna bring joy and life back into everything that's going on. It's just gonna be fucking a scared teenager, and that's not cool. And the teenager in question clearly has problems. She's going around telling everybody, like, oh, I fuck all the time, I fucked that dude, I sucked that dick, that's what you need to do to get ahead in this world. And it's like this screaming, lonely desperation to be seen as a person. And the people, like most people, are like taking her word for it. And they're like, oh, wow, you're such a hoe bag for doing all these things that you're definitely totally doing. And then everyone who does see through it is like, you're just sad and desperate to be loved. And instead of being like, wow, it's really sad how desperate to be loved you are, like, let's talk about you as a person and you can, like, let this thing down, they're just like, fuck you, you pathetic piece of shit, for wanting to be loved. I guess that's just the theme. That's the whole theme of this entire movie is fuck you for wanting to be loved. And nobody's gonna look through these clear facades that everybody's putting up to be like, yo, not cool. You just deserve to be loved for being a person. So that sucks for that teenage girl, and she's also just like not a good friend. So heads up, if there's any teenage girls ever watching this and your friends are like, I'm totally gonna fuck your dad and I don't care what you have to say about it, that's not a friend. That's a hard line in the sand, not your friends. So there's some life advice for teenagers who are watching me talk. Also, life advice for teenagers watching me talk, don't do that. Don't do that. I'm not a good role model. So, yeah, so there's that. And then the mom, so this was like a thing between my boyfriend and I, is he'd seen the movie before. And he is very, very against cheating. And so the whole time I'm like, God, this dude sucks. And he's like, yeah, but the wife, you know? And I'm like, okay, well, so far I've seen her like gardening and talking to the neighbors and like wanting a happy life and like asking her husband to please not be a creepy asshole for like an hour at her work thing, and it was clearly like too big of an ask. Like, you can see why she would have to say, hey honey, could you please not be a weird asshole for an hour to the people I have to work with. I'm trying to make connections. But I don't know. It's, you know, she's a fake person. She's trying to live this fake, like, everything's fine life. And that makes her a bad person, because you should tell everyone when you're depressed, and you should let your colleagues know that your marriage is in shambles, I guess. But then she does cheat, so that makes her a bad person. Like, okay, yes, she cheated on her husband. It did not take that much work. She's not very bright, because the dude, the slimy, gross sleazebag that she fucked, and he might not have been that slimy and gross, but he had this horrible, like, these horrible eyebrows, and those were enough to make him a slimy, gross sleazebag. But he just said everything that she wanted to hear, and it was very easy, because everything she wanted to hear was written all over her face all the time, because she's clearly sad and lonely and struggling in her business as a realtor, and really easy to take advantage of. But she still chose to do it, and she didn't feel bad about it, and she is the bad guy. But that doesn't make him a good guy. He's also a bad guy. They're all bad guys in this movie. Everybody sucks. And it's been a while since I talked through a movie this much, because I was so, like, grossed out, and then, like, angry in turns, and, like, what you're doing at every single turn, what you're doing is not gonna make you happy. What would have made you happy was talking to your husband and saying, honey, I'm really concerned about your behavior lately, and I'm really lonely and stressed out, and I would like to talk about it and find a way to not be so lonely and stressed out. And he's just like, you know, he could have said, hey honey, I feel like the spark is gone, and I'm so bored all the time, and the joy is taken out of life, and these are the things I miss, and how do we get them back? And then she probably would have tried that. The whole time, I was talking a lot through this movie, because I was like, oh, everybody stop, everybody knock it off, and also this is really gross. And, like, not that it would have made it better if the teenage friend was like, you know, like a 24-year-old playing a 17-year-old, where everyone's like, this is clearly not what a 17-year-old looks like. This girl looked young. Like, she looked like a kid. And I was just like, stop showing these sexy, but it's not sexy, it's just sad and weird. And then the rose petals, that was a weird thing, because that's all out of his wife's garden. Like, he doesn't like roses. It's like, it's like, oh, my wife's passion is growing these beautiful roses, and also my passion is this fucking teenager. Yeah, I just, yeah, there's so much to talk about this movie, and I guess that's why everyone talks about it. And it's on one of those you must see movie lists, and Kevin Spacey is really fucking creepy, and I don't know if he was picked for the movie because everyone knows how really fucking creepy, everyone in Hollywood knew how creepy Kevin Spacey was well before the public acknowledged it, because I think anyone could have told you that. But it really gets me when people are like, oh my god, Kevin Spacey was like assaulting people and like creeping on people and being super weird. And it's just like, you can only play so many super fucking creepy people really, really well if you're not that person. Like, you just, like, a really nice dude can only do it once, maybe twice. They're like, okay, I'm a really nice guy, I exude that in my personal life, and I can be creepy for one movie, or maybe 2 movies, like, but that's it. Like, I can't do this all the time. But if every single role you're in is a creep, then maybe you're a creep. And they're just like, yeah, whew, you're putting it out there. Here you go, man. Like, you don't even have to act. Just, this is just gross. And I tried to look up if he directed this movie or had any hand in, like, creating this movie, because sometimes, you know, it's like the guy with the foot fetish. Like, he directs the movies and he gets to put the foot fetishes in, and sometimes he gets to put himself in licking Salma Hayek's feet for reasons that are important to the plot. So maybe that was like the thing with this thing was, you know, oh, he got the opportunity to make this movie about being a sexual predator, and he picked himself to star in it because he's a sexual predator and he gets to lick 19-year-olds. And yeah, he didn't have anything to do with it, but the top result was that the actress who was in that role did sometimes feel uncomfortable with him. And I just can't imagine any way that you would not feel uncomfortable in that situation. Like, hey, 60-year-old man who's like naked and all over me and obsessing with me, and we do a bunch of scenes where you're being weird and obsessive with me. Like, how nice and like hands off would Kevin Spacey have had to be during the not filming moments to make up for the filming moments? Like, you'd have to be Mr. Rogers during the not filming moments, because there's no way to make up for how creepy everything on camera was. Alright, so I'm going to shut up now. I don't like that movie, and I don't ever want to watch it again. And I am comfortable with that. Never ever watching it again. So now I can cross it off the list. It is on the list, and now I can cross it off, thank God, and I never have to see it ever again. So that's how I feel about it. American Beauty. Sad, bad.